Hi, good afternoon. This is Stephanie Cates with Merchant Processing Solutions. I am honored and privileged to have my friend and colleague, Mr. Robert Goltz, Executive Director of the Miramar Pembroke Pines Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Business Partnership of Davie and Cooper City, the Pembroke Park West Park Chamber of Commerce, and of course, one of my favorites, the Western Florida Chamber of Commerce. Hello, Mr. Robert.
Hello, Stephanie.
I miss doing those shows with you.
Oh my gosh, I miss doing anything with anybody lately. It has been a sad deal of life for the last couple months being alone, other than doing Zoom, and it's not the same. As much as I love Zoom and podcasting and all that, you know what? Having someone physically near you is nice to have every now and then.
Yeah, but see, we all know you, so this is why we prefer the Zoom.
I know, that's what they're saying up there.
Well, listen, on a serious note, I wanted to have you on the show because today is day one or day zero from the reopening of phase one for Broward County, South Florida. Talk to me about the initiatives that you're happy with, and then we'll get on to some other ones.
So for me, it's been a long wait. I was hoping we would have been into phase one earlier, but because of things that are going on and being the hotbed of Florida, that just didn't happen. But what I'm really pleased with is the amount of guidance and effort that we got to get by being in that second round coming online. So it gave the opportunity to look for 2 weeks prior of what's worked, what didn't work throughout the state of Florida and the nation, in getting businesses back up and running. And it was kind of funny. Last week I started sending out emails saying, hey, you need to think about these 10 questions before you open up your business. Hey, here's some signage for your business.
Love that one. Love that one.
Yeah, there's certain things that you want to have on your building, and you want to make sure that your clients, your customers feel comfortable coming in after they've been going through this, because no one wants to go to a business and the next thing you know, feel like, oh, maybe I caught it finally because now I'm back out there. And so that was a big thing. And then securing PPEs for all the businesses has been the challenge I've had probably since last Tuesday, trying to make sure that we had businesses that were selling masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, disinfectant, what cleaning services were out there. They're all those things, and people don't realize that, those are important things. And it was funny, this morning and yesterday, I started getting the phone calls actually on Saturday of businesses telling me that they didn't have hand sanitizer and they wanted to open today. And so yesterday and Saturday evening, was driving to every store in Broward County, it felt like, and going, oh, do you have hand sanitizer? Oh, you got small bottles? I'll take whatever you got. In certain places, we're only selling one at a time and stuff like that. And it was funny because I think I bought 30 or 40 hand sanitizers and started delivering those early this morning before we opened, making sure certain people had them that had asked and requested them, and then made an order for a bunch more hand sanitizer to be shipped to me, and just looking at things because, gloves were easy to find, masks were easy to find. Now we're at that point that stuff's in, but the hand sanitizer was harder, and it is a mandatory piece for almost every business.
Yeah.
And so that's been the weird aspect. So this morning, again, I sent that same email and put out a survey saying, hey, what don't you have? Because I know where stuff's at almost every store. I was taking down a list as I was driving around going, hey, Sam's Club has gloves and masks. And so I've been ready and prepared for people calling today and taking those phone calls when people say, hey, I don't have something. Hey, this is the store that has it. Oh, you know what? I have a couple extra hand sanitizers here to get you at least through this week. And it's those little things. You just don't, because they were not a major part of business before. That's what we're looking at now. What do we have to do? How do we enforce things? And that's been a big hurdle right now as we're kicking off. Now, I'm already looking at phase 2 right now and starting to get ready for that, because that could happen as early as 2 weeks from now. And so that's the next step. How do I make sure we get there? So today, because I felt like I was so locked up in my office, I have gone gangbusters today. So as we were talking just before we got on, about an hour ago, I went and got my hair cut. Oh, man, did that feel good?
I know.
This evening, I'm going to probably go out to a restaurant and eat and sit at the restaurant. I don't know what restaurant. I probably won't be with anybody else. I may be by myself. But that's okay. It's about just sitting someplace else and enjoying a meal. And so I'm taking these small steps, watching. People have been calling me saying, hey, I want to do a ribbon cutting. I want to do this. We need to get back together. And I'm like going, no. We can only have 10 people next to us right now. And I don't know if I trust those 10 people yet. I need to feel secure that those 10 people that I'm going to hang out with aren't going to give me anything.
Yeah.
And so, it's those types of things that I'm kind of looking at, trying to look. The one thing that I'm not going to participate probably in for quite some time, and it's just a personal preference, going to the gym is not one of my highlights. So I want our gyms open.
I saw something.
Probably not going to be the one using it. Just to say.
I saw something on one of the New York, I think it was New York, where there's people outside with signs, open our gyms. Hey, we only had 57,000 deaths. Just open our gyms. Are you kidding me?
You know what? If it's done right and proper and by the guidelines, I'm hoping that they start moving in that direction. I got to tell you though, the thing that I'm probably most excited about and in awe of is how many of our businesses learned to pivot and still do business even if they were a gym. I see a lot of gyms, a lot of karate studios and things of that nature that went online. I see a lot of people that took what they had and said, you know what, I've got to make it work a different way. And the ingenuity just has blown my mind, because it's funny, because the governor will tell you, I didn't close down really any businesses. What I did was I said, hey, you can't have people like you had in them before. And so I look at some of the hair salons who started selling product. They cut back their hours and they started selling product. Some of them did trainings of how to cut your hair yourself. Some people found different ways to do business on Zoom. They found ways to drop off food. You know what? How great is it now that I can go to Panera and grab me a drink, my passion tea, and get me a dozen eggs at the same time, and I don't have to walk out of my car. Every restaurant pretty much is doing some kind. Village Tavern, when we kicked up, started selling rolls of toilet paper. Some people had major needs for that. Ingenious that people said, hey, I'm not only a restaurant, I'm not only a retail person, I can do these other things. And, that talks about the resiliency that our business people have, that they looked and they said, hey, you know what? This isn't going away soon. I've got to find a new way for income. Because I'm not going to sit and wait for somebody else to dictate when my business is going to be open. I'm going to find another way to bring in funds. And I know, Stephanie, I know your company did well during this because a lot of people didn't have the equipment or the knowledge that you guys bring to the table for processing credit cards. And look at everybody, I'm hoping everybody realizes from this, because I don't believe this is the last thing that's coming.
Oh, no.
I think that every business now is going to have to be online in some way. And that's what I'm working on, is making sure that our members are there. But you guys put a lot of churches and other businesses to receive funding online that would have never known before. But you were doing such a great job talking about your business for years. They never put it one-on-one together, and then all of a sudden, boom, calling you to get it done right.
You know, one of the strange things is that I've been telling people, if you own a business, you need to have a website and maybe your product online, so that I can either just go by and have it up front and pick it up, because, you know, I've got I only have a half-hour window. I got to be home and make dinner, whatever the reason. Maybe not a coronavirus, not a pandemic, but they didn't want to, because it would cost them money. Somebody'd have to maintain it. These restaurants, you know, I don't know if do you know Ceviche Aragato in Weston? It's right.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, it's a fusion of several I don't remember. But anyway, they've had that Tasty Alerts app for a long time. And they called Claudia and my partner and said, we are so grateful. We don't have to pay Yelp or Grubhub, or those guys are gouging these restaurants to between 30 and 40% for deliveries. And then
it's crazy for those businesses to make no money that way. We ended up putting out an app called 20 Eats for those restaurants. And this is the other thing that we found out with these restaurants. God bless it, some of them can take orders by phone, but how much easier is it for me to go on my app and press what I want? And they have these static websites that has their menu, but no way to press.
No e-commerce.
No e-commerce aspect. So that's why we partnered with this company called 20 Eats to say, hey, they'll take your website, they'll take all your food and make it into that type of site.
Right.
You can get food ordered, because you're spending way too much. And you saw different companies, like I'll use Tijuana Flats as a prime example. They did Grubhub and those things, but you know what? They have those special Tuesday evening meals. Taco Tuesday, you get a special deal. But they wouldn't offer it on those other apps because of the gouging.
Well,
they weren't making any money.
Some of my favorite places, like there's a place called Asian Up or something here in Weston, and we like their Chinese food. I went to Yelp. I was up someplace and I wanted to swing by and do a pickup. I had to call them in person, and then I had to give somebody my credit card. Yeah. I hate that. I know what identity theft starts with, and it's your credit card, giving it to some teenager at the end of a phone.
Yep.
And I don't think, I have not ordered since that one time because I was so uncomfortable. Matter of fact, even I love Mission Barbecue, but they had some kid answering the phone, taking my credit card. I go, did you write that down? He goes, yeah. I go, why? Why did you write that down? What if you leave it on the counter and somebody picks it up, and next thing you know, my whole credit card's been.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's been crazy to watch some of this unfold. You see a lot of the thing. For me, what ended up happening was I saw a lot of things that made me leery to look out across the country and look for programs and services that would fix the problems, because I don't ever want to give my credit card number out. I will swipe, I will put it in myself on something that's secure, but not giving it to somebody else. I get a little leery when they grab it at the drive-through and run it if I'm not watching it and seeing it at the top, because a kid could wear a scanner and scan my card just by rubbing it up against their pants, and now they got my information. And so I'm very leery. My wife has had, it seems like 2 to 3 times a year, her cards are duplicated. And I'm very adamant that If you saw me go to a gas station, it looks like I'm trying to rip apart the gas thing just to make sure that there's not something. I'm just very leery. I've been very lucky that I've never had these issues, knock on wood. But it is a scary piece when you start thinking of, if you looked at people's garbage cans right now, would your credit card number be laying there for someone just to grab up? You know, that's not good business practice.
And one of the new things are, you get this email, it says, Amazon has shut down your account. And then it says, please open this and fill out your information and we'll reopen it again. Well, at first I started filling out something and then I saw where it wanted my social security. I went, what? So I called Dave and he goes, stop that. So I closed it down quickly and I opened up the actual where it came from. And it was like, someplace from Asia, India, Pakistan, and they were scamming but it looked like Amazon, the logo, this. You had to literally click on the from to know if it was or not. So now I go through and everything I know is a scam or I don't care about it, I get rid of it. And then if something comes from Walgreens, well, I use Walgreens. Let me see. If it says Robert Goltz, I immediately get rid of it. But
I would too. That email is just a problem coming your way. But it may not be asking for a credit card number, but you're asking for something when it comes to that.
So this is, as usual, it goes off in hundreds directions when I'm with you. One of the questions I wanted to ask is, what is the really downside you still see? Even phase 2, phase 3, get your crystal ball out. Tell me, what are you thinking about the business environment in South Florida?
Right. So what I think is going to be the major downside, unless the state gets a handle of it, is for a lot of our brick and mortar, we have just figured out for almost all of our businesses, small and large, that we don't need brick and mortar buildings right now.
That's right. I've been working from home since 2001.
You know what? We've talked about it here at the chamber. What would it be like if I just shut down the business and ran the chamber out of my home? That's the shame of it right now. But this is the bigger part that most people don't realize too, is that the state of Florida has no sales tax on internet purchases. So Amazon's been taking over the market here in every state. Well, in our state, especially because we don't have sales tax being charged to them through that. How much money did the state of Florida lose to put back into education, to put back into our cities, and that from purchases like that? And so that's a major issue. And I'm a capitalist guy, but for a lot of businesses, even look at our small businesses. Now you've tasted that you didn't have to pay sales tax. Why are you going to go back to a brick and mortar now if it's cheaper for me to buy online always? Yeah, I have to wait a little bit, but you know what? The other issue that came with COVID is that you had to wait no matter what, because most of the things you wanted were out of stock anyway. That's why you went online to order it. And now you just go, oh, I got to wait a week. Not a big deal. So that's my biggest concern for businesses, is if you're not online, you're going to miss out on a lot, and you need to get online now just to compete down the road, because I truly believe the state next year is going to try to fix this. At least that's what I'm hearing. So that's a big issue.
One of the things that I'm seeing is that, one, intellectual capital. I closed down, let's say, Mirage, she closed down her studio because they're dancers, those kids, and she had to let go of one of her ballet dancers who's really good, and she knows for a fact that she couldn't afford until she got the paycheck stuff coming, what is it, PPE or whatever. Yeah, she wasn't going to be able to pay that person. And so that person has already informed her, I've been out looking for another job and I got one and I'm going to get paid more. So now she's lost personnel because she couldn't pay them. And that's number one. And number two is, why would you ever have an office where you have salespeople that their job is to be going to someone's business and then only coming in like to a meeting once a week or once a month? Or we've all learned how to use Zoom. Yeah. Why would we bother to pay leases and rents on these enormous properties?
Well, that's a big thing right now. That's something that everyone's going to have to be looking at, because let's look at it. I believe, so when the recession hit in 2008 and 2007 and 8, 9, right in those 3 years, we saw so many people lose their jobs. And what we also saw, and this is where people don't remember, people lost their jobs not because of the recession so much. We found business people, business owners, managers found out that we didn't need all those people working. we could work, all the people that we have could work an extra 10 to 20% more and average out, nixing out a couple employees in the process. And for some of them, they got a little bit more of a raise to do that extra work. And at that point in time, I will tell you that I was ready for something larger to happen in business, and it didn't. So now we go through this. Now we're looking at technology even more. We were already talking about $15 an hour before this happened. So this is what the federal government did, because they've really mucked this thing up. You know, the $600 a week that everyone gets that's on unemployment, if you break that $600 down, guess what that is? For a 40-hour work week, that's $15 an hour. So did the government are they trying to force people to go to $15 an hour? I would say yes. How many businesses are going to do that? Not many. We're going to end up seeing restaurants, which were already doing it. McDonald's had already put in the things inside where you press the buttons and then walk up and just collect your food. Everybody's going to start doing that. We're going to start looking at downsizing, and this is what's going to happen with salespeople and others. It's going to be a knowledge-based work, what you put out based economy soon. I truly believe we're going to end up moving in this. We are not going to, and it may take 5 to 10 years, but I'll tell you, I would promote this. Stephanie, I'm going to pay you for the amount of work you do, which all we're doing is switching everybody to a commission base.
Exactly.
And you know what? We all know salespeople know how to sell because they're a commission-based person. Most of the world doesn't understand that and is very used to that hourly wage aspect. But for me, it's, hey, I've got X amount of things to do. I've got these envelopes to be filled. I have this, and I'm going to pay by project, not by hours that you're here. If I think filling these envelopes is going to be a $50 job, that's what I'm offering you. If you won't take it, will somebody else come to the door and take it? Absolutely. Because what's going to be is it's going to be a buyer's market again. Yeah. And this is a scary point, a scary part where, I don't know if our government system can handle the unemployment that could possibly be out there. Because that is the
it's fine now, but you're talking about the residual. Even
I'm talking about not getting back to that. You know what? We got lucky. We were down in the 3s and 2s for unemployment. That was ridiculous for unemployment. That was ridiculous. We never saw things like that. And what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is people going, you know what? I lost a little bit of business, but if I can figure out the technology aspect, I can do more. I don't have to come out to your business now, Stephanie, to do business with you.
That's correct.
I sit here, I press a button, Stephanie and me are talking online. Let's close that deal. Hey, send me over the contract, Stephanie. Oh, you sent it over to me in DocuSign or Dropbox. I put my little hand in. I said, Stephanie, it's going to be great seeing your beautiful face on the screen. But you know what? It's at my convenience. And I can knock out 10 conference calls in an hour doing 6 minutes apiece, I've saved my drive time. I've saved the idle chit chat. I'm here, boom, knocking things out. And some businesses are going to take advantage of that. And they're going to do well. And they're going to go, okay, for my social aspect, now this is where the chamber is going to get benefits. We go to this process, but again, we know, salespeople know, good salespeople know, it's know, like, and trust. So I'm doing my business now on Zoom, Skype, and things of that nature, but my know, like, and trust is going out either in the morning or in the afternoon to a networking event, so I get to know, like, and trust you. But during the day, all I'm doing during the day is I'm tripling the amount of people I can contract with because of Zoom.
So I remember just telling somebody at one point in 2001, I fell and got a blood clot in my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I was confined. I couldn't drive. I could hardly walk. I was in pain all the time. And so I worked for AT&T, and they gave me my computer, and they gave me everything from my cube and sent me home because I had a doctor's thing. Well, at the end of 2001 and 2002, I was rep of the year, selling over 1,200 sales phones. And they went, "How did you do it?" I go, "Well, there was no BSing around the coffee cooler, or the coffee pot and the water cooler. There was no listening to somebody else's business. There was no chit chat all the time. And so I was able to recover probably 4 hours a day of crap."
That's the truth. And that's the thing, this is the other problem. We've been talking about telecommuting for years. And many businesses, many owners were very reluctant to have the technology to do that. I know because we've been calling our members. There's probably about 35% of the calls that I made, I never got returned, and all I went into was voicemails that were full because they didn't have their phones transferred over. They didn't have the technology to do all that, and they lost out on business. And so what's going to happen is business people are going to go make a change and say, you know what, I've got to learn to trust people to work from home. I've got to look at these different models and not be stuck in the 70s, 80s where we didn't have people work from home.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm looking here, I'm like, I've got 4 desks out there, and I'm thinking to myself, am I ever going to use 4 desks ever again? I don't think I ever will, because I think I'm going to have people different places. This just proves to me that I can, as I rebuild our organization, that I could put people in Weston, Davie, Cooper City, and have them working out of their home and going, okay, I'm going to have a meeting. Yeah, there's going to be more buildings that are going to have meeting spaces and rent cheap meeting spaces than there are going to be office spaces.
Remember the guy that introduced you that has that place down in Fort Lauderdale? Those individual cubes that we actually have our office down there. I can't remember the name of the thing now. Oh, Collective Ventures, where he's got those, each office has their own, or they share a big office area, but that rent includes office space, and you have a phone which takes messages, a live person, all of that. Well, the live person during this time has disappeared.
Yeah, so that live person will probably never come back.
Probably not, because there's too many systems out there that doesn't need a person.
Exactly. So those are the things that we've got to look towards as we change over. So that's one of my concerns. How high is that unemployment rate going to stay up because of this? And are individuals going to understand that the product and service that you can charge for is you? How many of us are willing to look and be honest with ourselves and say what your true hourly wage is? Because most of us will say, oh, it's $15 an hour, it's $50 an hour. What is it truly out there on the marketplace? Because we can all say that we're worth $100 an hour, but until
nobody pays for it,
paying that, if no one pays that price, you're not worth that.
That's right.
That's life. I could sell this mouse and say, hey, this mouse is worth $50, but until somebody buys it for $50, it's not worth $50.
Yeah, I
That's
was
why I
in
bought
real
it for
estate. I
19.
agree. I
And
agree.
that's the same thing with us as individuals, because now we're the product and the service. The other thing that I worry about is how many people are never going to leave their home again. Rumor says it could be up to 30% of the population won't go out to restaurants and eat. They won't go to stores anymore. They will lock themselves up into their homes and do everything remotely now because there's a scare always. Folks, let me be truthful with everybody. There's always been a scare.
That's right.
And for us to lock down, and that's where I'm watching people right now going, oh my gosh, we're opening too early. Oh my gosh, there's always a scare. You had a better chance in some aspects of catching the flu and dying, or being hit by a car, or being shot in your own backyard than coronavirus still. You know, there are things that have a higher death rate still than corona that we have forgotten about,
Yeah.
or don't pay attention to. And the problem is, for 4 to 5 years, these people are going to sit in their home and go, nah, you know what? I was told I was a high risk person, so I'm not going out. Okay, well, how do you live? How do you build relationships? How do you continue? And for
But
some, it's
today's
not going to be a big
generation,
deal.
they build relationships with their phones.
Exactly.
TV, that's their entertainment. That's my entertainment too. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that I love that commercial where the parents are out bike riding in their, I don't know, some car, a Subaru or something, and the daughter's going, oh, my parents have no friends. Oh, look at the kitty cat. And she's sitting all by herself at the kitchen table. No friends, no none. She's got her phone. But the parents are out there enjoying life. And that is a true statement of our generation. People would prefer not to have to make friends, not to feel they needed them, not to be rejected.
Stephanie, this was the funny part of life, because I'm here at the office early in the morning, late at night. I don't watch much TV, very little TV. So one of my daughters had called me, this is probably about a month ago, and said, hey, Dad, can you get us Hulu? And I go, why do we need Hulu? She goes, because it's the only service we don't have at home right now. And I'm like, you got to be joking. When did we buy Netflix and everything else? And my daughters both have jobs. My wife has a job. And what they ended up doing goes, oh, well, we want to buy this. Oh, no, I want this one. And so they had everything but Hulu. And I'm like going, no, I'm not buying Hulu. I'm not even thinking. And I don't think my wife may have left the house maybe once a week to do some shopping. But again, she doesn't want to go out. My kids, my youngest hasn't really gone out. The only time she goes out is when I bring her to the office to clean here. Now, my oldest, she's out all the time. But she's also 19 years old and enjoys being out in public. So it's definitely a changing world. And the thing is, for all of us, that change is one of the things that we have to think about. And I don't want to think about it too much, but who do we hang out with? And are they taking the same precautions with their life as I am with mine? If I'm a person that just goes out and hangs out with everybody in the world all the time, dude, I don't care who I'm hanging out with or who they hung out with. But if I'm a person who's looking and going, you know what? I have a immune system that can't handle stuff. I need to watch and go, you know what? I know Stephanie well enough that I know she doesn't want to be sick. She's taking all the precautions. So even when I'm not around her, I know she's a safer person than, hey, probably my nephew, who's at every party he can get to. No, he's the kid that's going to give me corona compared to hanging out with you. Those are the things that we still got to think about. And that throws people into a weird situation.
It does. But in the same thing, we make those choices all along. When you were in high school, your parents said that guy, he smokes, he drinks, this one does that. You hang out with them, you become like your friends, it's the same thing with this.
Did your mom talk to you about
Really
me?
kill ya. I know, my parents warned me about you. Actually, your mother warned me about you.
My mother warned everybody about me.
Well, Robert, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a very busy guy, and it's been wonderful for you to give us these ideas. And again, just one last little thing. What can people reach out to you to get? For guidance, for consultation. I know you do the Chamber Mastermind.
Yeah. If you're looking to build your business, if you're looking to expand your professional success, that's the main reason why I'm here at the Chamber. I'm here to help your business grow. As part of our mission statement is that we are a catalyst for business growth. If you're looking to be a leader in our community, Lord knows I can use a lot of them because we've got a big road ahead of us. And if you don't have the leadership skills already, but really want to be a leader, I'm more than happy to work with you. What I'm looking for is for tomorrow's leadership to take our community farther than we've gone before. We had just over 3 months ago the strongest economy ever. And we've kind of decimated it over the last 3 months. Now it needs to be rebuilt, but it will not be rebuilt the same way it was built originally.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I'm looking for people that want to be those change agents, that want to look and try something new, a little bit of a risk taker, and I want to help expand their ideas and their vision. Not my vision, their vision for a what do they call it now? The new norm.
The new norm, the new reality, yeah.
The new norm, the new reality, and that comes from new leaders. It doesn't come from the leaders we had before, because most of the leaders that we had before, you're seeing what's going on right now. It's crazy. It's chaotic. And right now, and this is somebody told me this a long, long time ago, is that you truly see the leadership potential of an individual during the hardest times. And I got to tell you, unfortunately, I've seen a lot that I'd never expected to see from people that I felt were much stronger than they are. But the chips were down, and we're right where it's at. And now I'm seeing people that weren't even on my radar as leaders before coming up with fantastic ideas and assistance for tomorrow. Those are the people I'm looking for.
There's a wonderful saying, and it's a Christian saying about, God will only give us as much as we can handle. And some people don't even want that because they enjoyed the luxury, they enjoyed the prestige, and the loss of those things, they can't overcome it. And, as someone who's a believer, I just think that each one of us have a path. And unless you're 6 feet under or more, you owe it to your community to get out there and do these kinds of things. So thank you, Robert, for stepping up and being.
Thank you. And just so you know, I don't think anyone's going to take the time to do 6 feet for me. I'm looking at like 2 foot, just enough to cover my belly. That's what it's going to be.
Actually, I was hearing one of those tree choppers.
Yep. Stephanie, it has been my pleasure, as always, talking to you.
You too, Robert. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Later.